And the song's got over, I think, 3 million or 4 million streams now on Spotify organically just from those TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok has kind of forced people to think more about, okay, well, what am I actually recording right now? What am I actually putting into my video? And what do I want the audience that I'm presenting this to get out of, like get out of this video? What do I want them to learn, or what do I want them to feel, more than what I want it to look like? The music industry is a game. You got to play to the rules, and there are some new rules.
Anarchy! I don't even know what this means, but I love it!
What is up, winners? Welcome back to Before the Money, or if this is your first time, welcome aboard. You're in for an absolute treat today. My guest, he is a young creative. He's very, very ambitious. The founder of a new initiative called Sound Push, which helps young aspiring artists or aspiring artists of any age who want to go down the road of making music, putting their passions out into the world, but they want to do it independently. They don't want to be under the thumb of big agencies using and abusing their skill and passions. From such a young age, he was putting himself out in the world. He was creating, he was rubbing shoulders with really influential people in the creative space, in the music space, and he wasn't afraid to make his passions known. So he started off his career early as a videographer, and now he's about to change the lives of independent artists all across Australia and the world. So I want to welcome to Before the Money, Josh Pullford. Welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm psyched to be here.
I'm going to dive straight into it. What gets you fired up, man?
What gets me fired up? Honestly, like, just life, man. Like, it sounds a bit cliche, but ever since I was a kid, I've just been like a massive optimist and like a really high energy person. And I guess like the opportunities that I've had growing up, especially like so young in my career as well, just gets me fired up for the rest of my life. And every day I wake up just grateful for everything that I have. And, you know, I didn't always have a lot growing up. My family immigrated from South Africa when I was quite young. So we were in a different spot there financially, and growing up, especially coming over, the currency difference wasn't the easiest, but just, yeah, having great people around me. And I feel like the way I was brought up, I was given a really good set of morals and values just to be able to go out and like tackle life. And yeah, I just love life, man. That's what gets me fired up.
And it shows too, you know, like we met for the first time today, but I've been following your journey on social media for a while, and just like the energy you came into this room with is like super infectious. And like we're just talking about before we clicked record, is like energy is literally everything, you know, like it's the communication that we've developed before we had words, before we had books, before we had, you know, Snapchat and Instagram and all this kind of shit. Like, we are energetic beings at the end of the day. So I feel that in you.
I just always love meeting new people and getting to have chats, and, you know, everyone's got their own story. You walk around thinking like, oh man, that person in their own mind has lived an entire life that I'm just unaware of, but we've just crossed paths, and, you know, that's it. I'll probably never see them again, but yeah, it's just, that just fascinates me. So I love just getting to chat and get to know people.
So you started with, you know, videography, shooting music videos and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of people listening, you know, that see TikTok stars blowing up and all that kind of shit, and they're like, oh, I wish that could be me. It looks like such a good life. So explain how content has shifted over the last couple of years.
Yeah, to give you a bit of context, I started out in the music industry when I was 17 years old. I started filming music festivals. First of all, I just got in there through a couple of mates that had hooked me up with passes that I'd met at university, because I studied film there. And basically it just grew from there, and networked and continued to try and hustle shows in Brisbane. I would message people, film for free, until I got to a point where I was able to start charging for my work. And then COVID hit, and I missed out on like a large opportunity to move overseas and do work with some big artists over there. And then unfortunately I was like, well, look, is the music video thing really for me? Like, if something like this was to happen again, what could I do differently to ensure that, you know, not only have I still got income, but I'm still providing value to people? So the shift kind of came when I had my first TikTok video go viral, and it kind of is a bit embarrassing. It's not on my account, so don't go looking for it. But it got over 70 million views on TikTok. It got reposted on massive YouTube channels. It was all over Twitter and Facebook, and I started getting recognized in public for it. And it is honestly the most cringe thing ever. But when that started happening, and when that had happened to me, because I'd created those moments for other people in the past, but it had never actually happened to me personally, I realized, okay, wow, there's kind of like a formula here, because the person that I filmed the video with, we planned this out. Like this wasn't a real scenario. This was a fake scenario, even though it was like portrayed to be real. But I was like, okay, well, what can I do to kind of help people with their content on social media and like understand that a bit more, because this seems to be the new shift. And even though social media has been around for quite some time, platforms like TikTok, which are still quite new and growing rapidly, are still being figured out by a lot of these labels and marketing people in larger agencies. So I started doing work for a couple of artists, especially my mate Jack Gray, who I worked with the most, and we were developing TikToks and stuff for him. We had a couple go viral, which ended up having a good release, and the songs got over, I think, 3 million or 4 million streams now on Spotify organically, just from those TikToks. So we had a good run. I had another artist in America. That video got 8 million views, and I had his manager come to me and say, hey, look, we need to select a part of the music video to post. Like, what times do you think you should do? I was like, post this, guaranteed viral. The next morning, 8 million views. And it was kind of crazy. So I felt like I had this ability to kind of select what I thought their audience would be able to connect with. And then as I kind of studied more marketing, and over the last 2 years, I've just been learning and kind of bettering my knowledge around that, especially in the music industry. I've realized that there is a formula to it, and there are like requirements that you need to hit in, posting your content and promoting yourself, especially consistency being that number one thing. But I saw that there was, a bit of tension around artists and how the way that social media has changed the music industry. So I just wanted to help people kind of reframe their mindset around that, and kind of understand, like, the music industry is a game. You got to play to the rules, and there are some new rules over the last few years that have developed, and so you just have to adapt. And this is ways that you can think about it and adapt in an easier manner, so that you're not over stretching yourself, or just blowing out your creativity, because you've got, you're writing songs, you're producing music, then you also have to come up with ideas with content, and it's a lot for one person to do.
I feel that. Hey,
definitely, man.
It's like it's a never-ending kind of hamster wheel. But you said something really interesting there, and when you were picked out that part of the music video to post, I know it's super hard to articulate what kind of is now innately an ability of yours, but what was it about that part of the video that you said, oh, this one's going to go viral? Like, is there a way that you could articulate kind of that thought process within your mind? Yeah,
so basically what this song was about, it's an artist called Yellow Pain, and he basically makes like educational hip-hop music around voting, and his aim is to kind of educate communities in America about like politics, education, taxes, like all these kinds of things. And so the video that he shot was a specific one about American elections, and it was 2020 at the time. And so me and the manager were going through, and I was like, yo, this would be the perfect time to post this part. This 1 minute section of the video adds the most value, and it has a clear narrative behind it, but it also has a cliffhanger at the end where it'll leave you wanting more. And that, was the trend at the time, having part 2, part 3. So, just chose it based on like the value, the cliffhanger. There was a good hook at the beginning to keep people engaged within the first 2 to 3 seconds. Yeah. And it was a really well shot video.
An important part there was it was contextual to the times and the audience.
Yeah, it was relevant.
Yeah, 100%. And that's interesting as well, because I'm yet to crack like the TikTok code. One thing that I have noticed is, and maybe this just is because I haven't got the formula down right, and correct me if my assumptions are incorrect, but from my experiences, the higher produced videos that I put on TikTok seem to get next to no attention versus the ones that have little production or just like iPhone shot that are kind of raw and organic.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
So organic content is popping off at the moment.
Yeah.
Like if you are looking at starting a YouTube channel or a TikTok, don't go out and buy all the fancy gear. Honestly, if you have an iPhone and a ring light, you can set yourself up there. And you know, that's coming from someone who's spent like over $20,000 on cameras like in the last 5 years. So it's kind of crazy the technology that we have now. But the reason those videos kind of get more engagement is because it's coming from an authentic place. You can see that there's no production value behind it. And don't get me wrong, like high production stuff still goes viral on TikTok, but you kind of need a lot more value inside of that content versus like an organic video of someone just going up and being like, oh, hey guys, so literally what just happened is I went to the shops, I slipped over on a grape and I cracked my head open. I just got back from the hospital and da 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 da. People love like hearing the narrative from the person themselves. And to bring it back to TikTok, especially like if you're an artist or a creator and you're looking to hire someone to start a TikTok for you and you're not making your own content and you're not posting and engaging with your audience, it's going to flop because you're not having that personalized element or like that interaction with your audience that you need to kind of grow the following.
One thing as well that just popped into my mind is like when you're watching these TikToks of, you know, someone just talking to the camera and stuff, it's almost like, you know, you're just on FaceTime to them. It's really easy to like connect with the story or with the narrative. And like I'm seeing just everyday people blow up on TikTok because they've just shared something that was a little bit out of the ordinary, or, you know, they've articulated their story correctly, or their energy was protruded through the phone in like a captivating way. So coming from someone with your background, when you started to notice this shift into like organic video, what was going through your head? Because one thing that happens for me is like, I love high production stuff. I love creating it. I love the art of it. And then when you post it on TikTok and it, you know, doesn't really get the response, and then you see something else with like 8 million views, it's just like someone like farting into the camera or whatever. It's like, it makes me a little bit, I wouldn't even say the word angry, definitely not, but it's just, as Gary says, like we just got to adapt to the times. But how did you feel making that transition? Were you reluctant because of the investment you'd done? Like, or you just went with the motions? I never was reluctant, but it definitely was a learning process. So I think like, especially for music videos, like music videos are supposed to be high production. If you're on a budget, that's sweet. Your music video can still blow up. Like that's a thing like specific to that kind of industry. But I like putting production value into the high value content that I do for the artists that I work with. And, I think the switch over to TikTok wasn't really about necessarily what the content looked like or how high quality it was, but it was about the context of what was happening in the video itself. So, you know, you have someone farting in a video that's got 8 million views. It's pretty funny because you just like have someone farting in the video. But, you know, if you've got someone that's sitting there umming and ahhing for 2 minutes, people are going to lose interest pretty quickly. So it's, you know, it's just an interesting thing, and TikTok has kind of forced people to think more about, okay, well, what am I actually recording right now? What am I actually putting into my video? And what do I want the audience that I'm presenting this to get out of, like get out of this video? What do I want them to learn, or what do I want them to feel, more than what I want it to look like? Say, for instance, you wanted to plan a video showcasing the launch of Soundpush. Yeah. So how would you work that into a narrative?
I'd first of all like pose a question to the audience that I'm asking. So I'd be like, it'd either be a question or an instruction. So like how you can double your TikTok engagement in 2 weeks by following this. And then that's the hook that brings them in. If they're interested to know what I have to say, they'll stay and watch the video. I discuss a pain point. So I'll talk about either a personal experience that I've had, or I will make up an experience from things that I've heard in the industry from other people, or something that I know is a struggle for young artists. So I'll be like, okay, how to double your engagement in 14 days. Nowadays in 2022, it's a lot more difficult to get noticed. There are 60,000 songs posted on Spotify a day. There's 150 million minutes of content viewed, like in one internet minute, which is like a collective minute. So
what was that number again? Sorry,
I think it's like 150 million minutes of content in one internet minute, which is like just one global minute, which is wild to me, man. It's so crazy. But like, I'd be like, yep. So how do you get noticed in this whirlwind of content? Well, X, Y, Z, present the solution. And then at the end, I would do a call to action and direct people either to my website or to the app download link where they can sign up.
Going back to that first viral video of yours that blew up, what was your narrative there? Was that more of like a funny one? And you seem reluctant to share what this is, but we're here and we're raw. Like I said to you, there's nothing off the table here before the money.
No, absolutely.
So what was that first video and what was the thought that went into that?
So the first video kind of like, it was planned, but it was just so random. I went over to my friend Shania's house one day when I was on the Sunshine Coast visiting my parents, and she was like, oh, there's this trend going around where people try and kiss their like opposite sex partners, like best friend, or I don't know if that makes sense, but like they try and kiss their male best friend or their female best friend. Yeah. And get the reaction. So she was like, we should do a video like this. It'd be funny because some people think we're dating. And I was like, all right, let's go. So the narrative was the first shot of us is us sitting on the couch and like we're cuddling up together. We look quite close, and she's got text on the screen going, this is Josh. He's been my best friend for 10 years. Like, I've had feelings for him ever since and like all this crap. And then we go on to learn like a TikTok dance. And so we're there, like I'm there showing her how to do it. And it's like everything that we planned. And then she goes to kiss me, and I grab her head and I throw her onto the couch. And it wasn't like that much of a violent action when we did it, but then on camera, it kind of came across differently. And then probably like one of the funniest outcomes of that was Israel Adesanya, the UFC fighter. He reposted on his story and was like, this guy's got moves. And I was like, nah, that's it for me. I'm done. Like,
life could end now.
Literally, I'm happy.
Wow. Bro, like hearing you describe that, I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Really?
I'm pretty sure
I've seen
it. That's fucking cool as.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a crazy world, like what's going on. And I feel like in terms of TikTok and all that kind of stuff, COVID was such an important building block for that platform to expand, because so many people were at home. It was a way for people to connect, because like we've been talking about, the content is quite authentic. It's quite raw. So it was a way for people to, stay connected to the whole world. Information spreads really quickly. I know there's like a whole bunch of censorship issues and stuff with it, but it's such a like pivotal platform now. And when you are, because obviously you've got the marketing agency, or would you classify it as an agency? It's more of a platform.
Yeah, I kind of I had the bones to a marketing agency at the beginning of this year, which I still will do marketing privately for my clients that I already have, but I won't, like, I'm not advertising that anymore. But Sound Push would be more of like just a community based
resource platform.
Yeah.
From your experience now, are you putting any effort into Instagram?
I still am. I still am, because at the end of the day, if you want to get noticed and if you want to have a solid organic strategy, especially with Instagram and YouTube rolling out like basically their own version of TikTok, Shorts and Reels, their algorithms and their engagement models are the same on that platform. So if I make a long form video during the week and I split it up in, into 6 or 7 TikToks, I'm going to take those 6 or 7 TikToks and post the same thing on Reels and post the same thing on Shorts, so that I'm reaching the same audience, but with slight tweaks in the platform's algorithms, because you never know what those tweaks could do to push your content. So
when you say like slight tweaks, is that tweaking of the content, the captions, or is that you more so referring to the algorithm as being different?
The algorithm being different for each platform, because each one is unique to each platform. So there will be slight things that I do. Like I would use Instagram's native text for the Instagram reel, but I'd use TikTok's native text for the TikTok video.
Like the text on screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Epic. All right. Just got to reset the cameras real quick, fam. We'll be straight back for you.
Let's go.
Hey team, real quick reminder before we jump back in. If you're enjoying yourself and you're getting value from this episode, there's no need to keep all this goodness to yourself. Share the growth with your audience and leave behind 5 stars. Much love, guys, and back to the episode. All right, so thank you guys. It was probably only a split second in your time, but we had a bit of a break. We had a good old chat. It's always the case when we have breaks in the podcast. I'm always like, fuck, that should have been recorded on the podcast. So one thing we're going to jump in now, we've heard about, your Instagram strategy, your TikTok strategy. You not only know the rules and the strategies, you've actually done it. And that's one thing that I find super inspiring about you, because it's easy to read blogs and books and all this kind of shit and know what you should do, but you've implemented it and you've seen the results. So I want to talk about your new community, Sound Push, because just hearing what you've shared with me then, I know there's going to be so much value for independent artists inside that container, because it's one of the things that if you can crack the code on marketing, it puts you leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else that's trying to still do shit the old way. So what is Sound Push and who is it for?
So Sound Push is basically an online community, like learning-based community. We have so many different features, but it is for artists, independent, signed. We've got both in there at the moment. And anyone basically wanting to get started out in the music industry, learn more about it, learn more about like building a team, how to market yourself, because at the end of the day, a lot of these labels will prey on your vulnerability and your lack of knowledge about the industry to present you with something that's going to benefit them in the long run. So the mission of Sound Push is basically to provide that knowledge and that value to artists who are starting out, and to help them essentially grow their project independently so that they can make more money off of that.
Nice. So what would I expect to find in there?
Direct messaging features. So you can create group chats. You can message me personally. I'm in there every single day. So if anyone has any questions or wants to learn more about a certain topic, I'm just a message away. And that's kind of part of what you pay for, as well as that like 24/7 advice section. You can also use it to connect with other members. And then we've got like a competition feature, which we're launching at 100 members, which will basically be, you can submit 2 of your songs every single month. If it's a demo that you're releasing, or if it's something that's already out and that you want to submit, then that's completely private. There's no leaks, there's no nothing. We've taken security measures to prevent that from happening, so that we can just have a little fun between artists and producers. And so there are like huge prizes for that. Obviously, as the group grows, the prizes grow as well, because there's more at stake. In the module section, I'll teach you about marketing, how to sell yourself, networking tips, how I got started in the music industry, what to look for when signing a label contract, that kind of stuff. We've also got advice section, so like production advice, songwriting advice, industry advice, and also social media advice. So anyone that's asking any questions or discovers something for themselves, they can chuck that in there, and then everyone has access to that. And finally, we have our live events section. We've got some special guests lined up for the next like couple of months. We're going to be talking to people who have won competitions like X Factor, who have performed overseas, who have toured around America, who have written some amazing hit songs, and we're going to go through and chat about them and their journeys, and give you guys an insight on what it's like to be an artist at that specific level for whoever it is.
So we can just shorten that to it's everything you need.
Basically. But
wow,
yeah.
That's super cool, man. So what gave you the inspiration for this?
So I just started noticing more and more, like between homies, and because most of my friends are in the music industry, and having conversations with them around social media, I think it was something that was coming up in conversation a lot more, especially between managers and their artists, and how their mental health was being affected by their labels, putting pressure on them to perform on social media at such a high level when they also have so many other responsibilities to, to tackle during the day. And so I think that once this started like happening a lot more consistently, and then Halsey posted a TikTok about how her label won't let her release a certain song because she hasn't made the TikTok go viral yet, or Adele in her Apple Music interview with Zane Lowe was talking about how TikTok for her is, something that is restricting her at the moment. And all these other artists started popping up and saying the same thing. I kind of like clicked in my head. I was like, well, people have the ability to do this individually. Like I started out from nothing, and I've used social media to make 6 figures plus. So why wouldn't that be the case for someone else in the creative industry that can, that has the power to reach billions of people on their device, like right then and there.
We've heard the evidence, guys, like everything we spoke about in the first half, like there's nothing special about you apart from the fact you put the effort in, you know?
I'm just your average Joe.
Just your average Josh.
That's it.
That's why I love this podcast so much, is because I get to sit across from human beings, flesh and bone, that have just made the decision to put a little bit of extra effort in. And not only effort, they've made concerted, decisive effort and tracked what they're doing. From hearing what you've said, is like you haven't just been posting 1,000 videos a day hoping one of them pops off. You're like, okay, well, what's the narrative behind it? How are people going to connect to it? You've been smart about your effort as well. So I genuinely encourage you guys to go and check out the program. If you're an aspiring artist, go check it out. For what is it? It's like $300 and something.
It's $349 for lifetime access. I think we're going to run lifetime access for the first 500 members.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're launching tomorrow. So today is Saturday, the 16th of July. Tomorrow is the 17th.
So this is launching on Tuesday. So it'll already be out.
So it'll already be out. So yeah, at the moment we're running a 25% discount for the first 150 members that join up. And we'd be more than happy to have you in the group and welcome you with open arms.
On that note, I want to get to know a little bit more about what built Josh. You're young. How old are you at the moment?
22.
22. Fuck that. 22. That's wicked. I love that. What gave you the drive to do that at an age where, your entire community was probably, just playing footy on the weekend and going to house parties and shit and getting with girls and boys and all that kind of stuff? What gave you the drive to start building stuff at such a young age?
Man, I got to be honest. There was two things. So I grew up on the Sunshine Coast, very relaxed beach town. Like that was kind of my vibes. Up until I finished high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I studied film and I was interested in it. And I'd never, shot anything professionally before, but I was just like, I know what I want to do. And so I went to go study that, moved to Brisbane just after I turned 17. And I was lucky enough to have a cousin who was a photographer. He hooked me up with some gigs and whatnot. And when I started working with the first agency that I worked with, it was something completely new for me, being able to earn money doing exactly what I loved, because in previous years, I'd worked at McDonald's and Coles and all these other horrible places that just like drained my life energy out of me. And so being creative all the time and getting paid for it was like the number one motivating factor. But the second thing, and I'm going to out him here, my dad in high school, and I'll never forget this, told me that I was the laziest person that he knows. And we were in a heated argument around study. I didn't really like to study. And so, yeah, he was like, you're one of the laziest people I know. And I was like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And so now we're here. And, that moment happened for me when I got to film Guns N' Roses drummer Steve Adler in Brisbane a couple of years ago. And my client let me bring my dad to the show and meet him and go backstage. So
is he a Gunners fan?
Yeah, he was. He was big time. So,
and now you're on Before the Money. Look at you go, Dad.
Yeah, bro. He's featuring everywhere.
100%. Fuck, that's wicked, man. So was that something that played over for you? Like, because obviously your relationship with father is quite pivotal for like a guy. And, you
Mhm.
know, I can relate to lots of these things. So much of my work ethic comes from just seeing my dad being relentless.
Mm.
You know, he's up before the sun every day. It's almost to a point where it's like he doesn't know how to sit down and relax. But just seeing that within him has just always given me that fire. It's like, well, if you have to get a lot done, just do more. You know, and that's kind of been my mentality, and having that influence from him. And the same kind of thing as well, like when I was living at home, it'd be like a Saturday and I just felt so uncomfortable sitting on the couch because he's just constantly moving, doing something. I just adapted that constantly moving, doing something mentality as well, because just sitting around doing nothing was not tolerated in my household. You know?
Bro, same. It's crazy. Like, both of my parents are super hardworking. I'm super proud of like the progress that they've made over the years. My dad's currently doing his master's in clinical. Doing his honors in clinical psychology. Going on to do his master's. My mum is she's been a nurse for 17 years, but she's just about to like become a hospital assessor basically. So she'll get flown around the country and assess different hospitals. But you know, when we immigrated over here, my dad was a chaplain at a school. He still is a chaplain at a school, but he's working on moving past that. And my mum was just like an ICU nurse basically. And they just did everything that they could in their power to, you know, make life better for me and my siblings. I'm the oldest of 4. And so I think like they set really good values and gave me a good mindset when I was younger, but then also instilled in me that I was a role model for my siblings. And, you know, there's a certain way that I have to carry myself in order to, you know, help them grow and set the right values for them as well.
Yeah. And do you have a vision for where this work is taking you? Do you have a vision of the kind of life you're choosing to create?
Yeah, man. I ever since I graduated ever since I like got started in filming, my one goal was to live a lavish lifestyle but never be in the spotlight. And you know, I kind of like to be behind the scenes a bit. Like I love doing podcasts. I love like talking about what I do, but I just imagine myself, especially over the next few years, I'm planning on incorporating overseas and living, you know, across Europe, the UK, Bali, and South Africa, and kind of just like traveling and getting to explore the world and make contacts while I'm there. But yeah, I just imagine hopefully one day being able to, you know, have my own artist development company and just be a figure in the music space that has, you know, provided value to a lot of people. That's kind of the end goal.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, you're the person operating the spotlight at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So young, still we're both still so early in our journey.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, we're in that, you know, skill acquisition phase where like every new thing that we do, we're learning something. You know, when we can get around the right people, we're learning things. And like we're still at that golden age where, you know, we're not a threat to the people higher up in the industry. They still want to help us. And I've seen it in lots of different stages throughout my life. Once you get to a certain level, then you start to, people are less, they're more reluctant to kind of give you a handout in lots of ways. That's one of the huge benefits of being like a young, ambitious person. So you're a little bit innocent. People just want to help you and bring you along for the ride. So we'll start to move towards a wrap up, and we'll just throw some like spitfire questions at you here.
Yeah, let's do it.
So if you were to have a billboard and it was seen by the entire world population, what would it say and why?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, I saw a billboard the other day that said "Look up," and it just said "Look up," and that was it. And I think it's a sponsored government billboard. I think that is the coolest shit ever.
Look up.
Yeah.
What do you think that means to you?
Just like look up from your phone, look around you,
Mm-hmm.
look at your surroundings, be present. I'd say that.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I love that message. But the billboard that I did have in Times Square,
You had a billboard.
I did have a billboard.
Okay.
It was a photo shoot I did when I was 19. and it got up into Times Square for like a Spotify global campaign with Dean Lewis and Martin Garrix.
Wow.
That shit was the craziest shit ever, to be honest. So I'd love to like go back there, buy space on that billboard, and like put a message there that says "Look up," especially in New York City because there's so much like distracting. You know?
How did that like opportunity come about for you to shoot that campaign to get on that billboard?
It was all quite rapid. So I was on tour in the US with the artist Jack Gray. We were touring with my good friend Maisie Peters as well, and so we wrapped up that tour, and then at the same time, Dean Lewis was in town doing a couple shows, and so Jack's management also managed Dean. They connected Dean and I, and we got along really well. And then as Dean's brother, who does all his content, he went on holiday, I stepped in and, you know, kind of worked with Dean on all these press shots, cover photos for like Spotify. We did the billboard shoot together, and then we did like a bunch of sessions and filming in there and whatnot. So yeah.
Wow. So right place, right time.
Yeah, literally. And it just kind of snowballed, and we just got to work together a lot, but it was a lot of just going, yeah, okay, let's go. Like, hey Josh, can you do this? Yes. What do you need? Hey, can you do this? Yep. Done. I'm there, you know?
And I know I was saying we're moving towards a wrap up. But there's one thing that I noticed about you when we were trying to figure all this fucking shit out and get us set up for the sound here, is there's lots of people that would come up against a few issues and be like, oh, I don't know how to figure this out. But I saw you went straight to YouTube, you went straight to Google, and you did something that most people overlook and just do a simple Google search to find the answer. So how important do you think it has been for you to be someone who just figures shit out? Like you just mentioned there, like, what do you need? Yep, I can do it. What do you need? Yep, I can do it. Is there a period of time, like when you're given an opportunity that you don't feel like you have the skills for, you don't know how to do in the moment, are you the kind of person that just says yes and figures it out?
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically my entire come up in the music industry, to be honest. Like, when I filmed my first music video, big, huge, like I was like, I've never filmed a music video before, but yeah, sure, let's do it. I'll figure it out. Like, how bad can it be? When I sold my first website to a client, I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Like, we'll sort it. What platform do you want to use? I'll learn it in 2 days, and then I'll send you the website next week. I am very much like, one of the skills that I do have is I'm a quick learner, and I can adapt very quickly to different things. Everything from video, from cameras, even though I studied film, I didn't learn really much from that. Everything around videos, cameras, web development, advertising, building a business, like life principles, all of that has been like consumed through content and like self-taught. So I think, you know, that's a really important skill that our generation has been, you know, able to grow up with. And unfortunately, like older generations kind of miss out on sometimes. Like, if my dad has an issue with his email, he'll be like, hey, can you fix my email? I'm like, hey, why don't you Google it? And he's like, well, I don't know what to Google. I'm like, okay, well, I'll fix your
How
email
to fix
then.
my email.
Yeah, literally. So no shade on dad. Love you, bro. But
my dad can't text yet, so he's miles out of mine.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I think coming from a place of like taking the initiative to do something, if you talk about doing something, there's no reason why you can't find information on that on the internet, because there's so much information there readily available at your fingertips. You just need to know how to ask the right question.
Always the first step is like, you know, Google it, YouTube it. You'll learn so much. You know, I spent 2 minutes at university, and like, thankfully I dropped out for my personal journey.
Good.
Good. Like, because I was just like sitting in the lectures and stuff like that, and literally one of the lectures, this is the final nail in the coffin for me. They were teaching us what www meant before a URL. Oh my God, and I was like, I was sitting there doing client work, like listening with my third ear, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? Why am I getting myself in like debt to be here? And then like that's when it clicked for me. I was kind of like, okay, well, am I doing this because it's what you do, or am I doing this because it's going to benefit my specific journey? And everyone's journey is different, but my specific journey didn't have university in it, because thankfully I have the blessing ideology similar to you, that it's like you figure it out because we have all the resources that we need already ahead of us. So what did you say before? There was like 100,000 minutes per second or something.
Like 100. I think it's like 150 or 160 million minutes of content viewed on TikTok alone.
Just on TikTok.
Per internet minute. TikTok had more traffic, bro. I'm such a nerd on this. Than Google. Yeah, dude. Craziest stuff. Like, people are now getting their information from TikTok instead of Google.
Literally.
Like, now that they've kind of bettered the search function on it, and people are able to, click on a video and there's the topic at the top line in the comments. It's like, it's information so easily accessible to you nowadays. But
hard out.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing as well, because, I was in a marketing degree, and then I was looking at the course outline, not a single thing on social media.
Crazy.
And then like I'm running a marketing business that is entirely social media at that time, and I'm like, am I the only one that thinks this is weird? They're teaching me a SWOT analysis. I'm like, when's the last fucking time you used a SWOT analysis? Like,
oh, useless, bro. Honestly, it's like, it's kind of crazy, and that's why, like, a little bit of a self plug, but like Sound Push is so worth it, because you think about spending $40,000 on a music degree. If you want to be an artist, you're wasting all that money going into music. Like, the only reason that you'd spend money on a music degree is to learn production, music theory, or to go into classical music. Like, it's and you're not guaranteed to make your money back. They don't teach you how to make money in university. Whereas, like, if you pay $350 to join Sound Push, you're going to know how to make that money back like this, because I tell you exactly how to do it. And it's like, same with marketing courses nowadays. You've got a lot of gurus online selling marketing courses on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and TikTok ads, and that kind of thing. But like, those courses, even if they're $5,000-$10,000, is way better money spent than, doing a marketing degree at uni. So I reckon it's good that you dropped out, bro. 2 minutes. I'm surprised you lasted that long, man. I wish I had the guts to drop out back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like because I was sitting there doing client work, like, I don't know if I would have dropped out for no reason. But because I was sitting in my lectures doing work in my, established business, that's why I was kind of like, what am I doing here? But yeah, like I mentioned, and I want to make super clear, make the decision that suits your journey, not the imposed, narrative or journey that has been so like pushed upon society. Really just take 2 seconds to step back and go, hang on, what's my outcome? What are the stepping stones? You don't have to have a clear idea of exactly where you're going, but if you've got a rough idea of what you want to be, where you want to be it, and with who with, you'll know whether university fits in that narrative, or whether there may be something else like Sound Push that would better benefit you.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, I reckon even if you did a video on like how you started ANARCHY and how you grew it and the things that you learnt developing the brand and the business, like, that is more valuable coming from a real person than a university lecturer that, and yeah, I'm about to throw mad shade, that attempted that and failed and went back into education. Like, all my lecturers who were filmmakers were not successful filmmakers. Like, the real people that I learned from, the one time I worked on a project with the guy that he did the set design for Back to the Future. He produced all the X-Men movies. He produced the latest Thor movie that's out right now, and he's worked on Marvel and Disney and that kind of thing. And we were co-directing a video together, and I learned so much from this dude. Such a legend, but you would never catch him in a university ever, because he's out there doing the thing that, you want to be doing. And that's how you learn the most, is being out in the field and getting experience, especially. especially in creative industry.
I'm going to reset the cameras and we're
Okay.
going to keep going.
All right.
Section 3. There's not many guests that we go into a third section with. So,
I
you
feel
know,
honored.
you should. You know, but you're providing value. So, if anything, we feel honored that you're going to give us a third section.
Yeah, bro, of course. I love to chat. You're a great host. So.
Wicked. Well, it took us fucking long enough to set up, so we might as well use it.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. Okay, so the road of an entrepreneur, although it is glitz and glam and it's very exciting because we're doing things that we're passionate about all the time, we also spend lots of time doing, you know, menial, mind-numbing things, especially in the beginning, you know. So what were some of the hurdles like early on that you felt like you had to overcome in order to get comfortable within yourself? I know that you mentioned that, you know, for a long time you were shooting for free and doing all that kind of stuff. Do you feel like that came from a place of you not valuing your work or the marketplace not valuing your work?
I think I wasn't ready to put a value on my work yet until I saw the results that, or the value that I was adding to my clients, because I was brand new to the industry. I didn't have a mentor. I had friends that were working as photographers and stuff that were a bit older, but other than that, it was like, well, this is just how you enter the industry. Like, you got to find people who know that you do video and want to work with you, and you got to tell people that you're a videographer now, and that's your identity. You bring on that identity.
Yeah, and I suppose it's always the same in like the creative industries. You got to prove yourself. What allowed you to feel that value that you could then charge and start to build out a little bit of a business?
It became a time thing. So I was working for a couple of different agencies. So they were like, they were casual positions. So I was paid, weekly, and that was interesting. But then as soon as that kind of stopped, my weekends would be taken up by shoots, or my evenings. You know, if I was going to shoot a club for Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, I was like, well, that's my Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I'm 18. I want to go out as well. Like, I can't just, do this for free. So once I had kind of a bit of a portfolio and a few connections and whatnot, I was getting referrals, and people would then start to ask me for how much it cost for me to do a video. So I started charging $50, $100, $200. And then I invested that money back into my gear, had high quality equipment. I was charging $500, $1,000. And then I would learn and research pricing structures on YouTube from other freelancers that were charging, $10,000 a video. So I was like, oh, well, how can I make my service worth, thousands of dollars so that I'm shooting less, earning more, and, it's able to be a scalable thing without me having to put myself in a more time demanding position. So then I started charging $2,000, $5,000 for a video. And eventually I was charging around $6,000 or $7,000 for music videos that I was shooting at the time. And that's because my gear library was quite big. I had, experience with lighting, with sound, with shooting. I edited the whole thing. It was basically like me as a one-man team. So a budget that would be for, 4 or 5 crew, it was all coming to me because I had the wide range of skills that was required to go from start to finish in a...
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really just like time in the seat when it comes to all that kind of stuff, like making videos, figuring shit out. Like the first podcast that I edited, because we edit with video as well for those of you just listening. The first podcast I edited took me 7 hours because I didn't know that you could do like the multi-camera thing and just like click between. So I had like fucking 8 channels plus audio and all that kind of stuff. Like it took me so long. And then, but I had to do that in order to learn to know what I didn't know. You know what I mean? Up until that point, I'd never had a use for any of those kinds of things. So why would I have needed to learn about them? Especially because I didn't go through like film school or anything like that. Yeah. Just everything, just learning on the fly, like we spoke about earlier. So getting out there and like just doing it is like literally the fastest way to learn. Is there anything about your journey that you would have changed? It's hard because like you obviously are happy with what you are and it's led you to this place. Is there anything you would have done differently?
I mean, I'm happy now. There are definitely, like, as you hear with every, you know, self-employed person, there's definitely like struggles, and there's been like some really dark times in my life, like a lot of uncertainty around 2020 and 2021 as a freelancer. I don't think I would have changed anything, and you can only really say that like 6 months or a year down the line, because when you're in the moment, you're like, fuck, like that's it, it's done, like da 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 da. Example, I got a job at City Beach, like doing all their in-house photography, and so I was shooting for them full time for like 4.5 months, and then I got fired during my probation period, which I thought was 3 months, but apparently it was 6 months. And lol if anyone hears this from there, but I got fired for taking on too much freelance work outside of City Beach, because I was taking meetings in LA and the UK either before work or after work at night, and they found out about it. And because I was also too close to the people that we were shooting with as well, like we were all friends, we'd go out on the weekends and stuff like that.
How is that a bad thing?
Well, no, this is the thing. Like, it was my dream job. Like, I was like, damn, I'm in this huge like brand in Australia. Everyone knows City Beach, and I'm the one like shooting all the content for it. Like, everyone's seeing my work. This is sick. But when I got fired, it was kind of like a blindsided thing, and I didn't see it coming. And so when I left that job, I was like, oh man, I don't know what to do. Like, this was my ticket. Like this, I was so, you know, happy in this spot and like growing and learning every day. But then on that walk home, I was like, you know what? I'm never ever working for anyone else ever again. And I've stayed true to that 2 years down the line. Yeah. It was something at the time that I really wanted to change, and something that I was like, how am I going to recover from this? And now it is the best thing that has happened to me thus far.
So how long does that like mental chatter go on for you? Is it like a quick turnaround where you're able to, you know, reprogram those thoughts into like a positive? Is that a quick turnaround for you? Do you usually like boil on things for quite a while before coming to that conclusion? Yeah,
I kind of went a bit off the rails for like the first 2 weeks of not having any work. Like I recorded this horrible interview that will never ever see the light of day the day afterwards, and it was an interview where you got stoned and you ate scones and talked about life, and it was just like criminalizing me.
It's so hard to do interviews stoned.
Dude,
like, I've tried it a couple of times and it's just gibberish.
You just lose your mind.
So
like,
what were we talking about again?
Honestly, man, honestly. But it took me about 4 months to kind of like get back into like a way better headspace. And like, luckily, you know, I have a really good network here in Brisbane and Sydney and Melbourne. So I was still getting work like left, right and center. I didn't have to pay for advertising. Like, people would just approach me through Instagram. So I was blessed with that. But yeah, it took me about 4 months to adjust to that kind of decision. I took like 2 months, 3 months off, and I was just, you know, at home, like chilling. I would just like edit my own stuff for my own personal benefit, but like it wasn't making me any money at the time. I just was like, oh, well, let's take a break.
Is there any room for romantic partners in this journey?
This is a part of my life I need to work on. So yeah. And oh man, this is just, yeah. Okay. So, my first girlfriend at the time, like my high school girlfriend, we broke up because of work, because I was spending too much time on work. She gave me an ultimatum, said it's work on me. I said it's work.
I've had one of those before.
Bad. And then, you know, it's kind of been difficult, like over the last like 3-4 years, finding a partner that, you know, understands the goal, the mission, and like what's required to get there. And I think there are very few people that like I'm a very like picky person, I guess. And so when it comes to finding a partner, it's very rare for me to click with someone immediately. Like, I have a lot of close girl friends, but finding that romantic partner that I can also share like a really close friendship with has not yet happened for me. I've had relationships in and out, but work has always been a big
that's your girlfriend factor. Right now. Work's your girlfriend right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She's my baby.
Literally. And it is like that. And like there are times, you know, when you're at your fucking desk and it's like 2:00 in the morning and you kind of like, fuck, it'd be so good to just like go up and, you know, crawl into bed with someone. But at the same time as well, it's like, you know, you're going big places and you want that freedom. It's like you want to take off to LA in 3 months' time. You don't have to talk to anyone about it. Yeah. You know, you don't have to plan it, but pack your fucking camera case and go.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, you know, like long-term thinking, like I will explore that part of my life a lot more and give that more time when work allows and when I'm able to. And, you know, some people say, well, you know, you control your work. You'll never allow yourself to do this or that because it'll never be enough for you. But I have like ultimate goals and, you know, limits that I will reach to a point where I'm like, okay, cool. Like as long as this is happening, I'm cool to start, you know, exploring these different areas of my life. But at the moment, travel is a big one. I want to, you know, do a lot of crazy shit, like climb Everest. I want to get like my Class E skydiving license. I want to, you know, do the Kokoda Trail. I want to explore the world and meet as many people as possible so that like in my life experience, I can gain an accurate representation of like the global human population and different cultures that exist within it.
There's one thing you'll find as well is like, although there are differences in the way that we operate day to day as human beings, like everyone out there has the same fears, they've got the same desires, you know, they operate by largely like the same human instinct, but the way that we perceived world through our like little bubble in like wherever we are on the Gold Coast or in Brisbane, like we tend to project that out into the world. But like when you see it, it's like it really opens your mind and your heart up to the fact we are all, you know, one population, as like cliches as that sounds. You know?
Man, it's wild. Like I used to live in India for a period of time when I just turned 20, and that way of life was like fascinating to me because everyone was so kind and so gentle and so warm compared to places like, you know, Paris has a bit of a reputation for the population not being as nice of people. But I was so fascinated by these people who had so little and cared so much and would, you know, give us everything that they had in their fridge and in their cupboard to feed us and make us feel welcome in their space, in their homes. So I think like finding those life lessons and those kind of principles within different cultures and being able to adapt them to your own life is that's like kind of the mission that I'm on as well. Yeah.
And do you think much has like changed in terms of your persona and your values intrinsically over, you know, say like the last 5 years, having had all these experiences and things like that?
I think just the only thing that has changed is my perception on how much one human can do. Because I think that, you know, each year, it's been kind of crazy. Like each year I've written my Instagram goals in my bio, not this year, unfortunately, but they're on my mirror at home. And each year I managed to tick off every single goal because it's like, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. Like this is the steps that I want to take when I'm, you know, the year of 19, the year of 20. And setting some like crazy goals over time. And somehow like by December 31st, it's like, holy shit, these are all ticked off. Like, you know, and I'm only 20. What's up for 21? Let's go. Like I've learned more. I've developed more. And I think, you know, as I keep getting older and older, and like you'd feel the same about this, it's like you acquire more skills, you meet more people, you gain life experience. So there's less limitations on what your abilities are when you're thinking about going and achieving something that you want.
So on that note, if you were to go back and have a conversation, and for everyone listening, I know it's been a long one, but I promise this is my last question. So actually, if this is going to be the last question, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing. Man. I feel like you know, we're going to continue this relationship outside of the podcast, because
Absolutely.
absolutely, like I've said many times, love your mindset, love what you're doing, love your effort, all that kind of shit. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing that with your audience. Where can the beautiful Before the Money tribe find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Josh_Pulford, Pulford. It's a single L. That's probably like my main platform. My number is 047. I'm joking. But yeah, hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions about what I spoke about today. DM me. I'm quick to answer most of the time, and always love having a chat. So yeah. Hard
out. And for all you musicians out there, go and check out soundpush.io.
That's it, baby.
Yeah.
Soundpush.io. 25% discount for launch, which is active by the time this comes out. So yeah, hit it up. It's only first 150 members, and then we'll be closing that offer. So yeah.
100%. Don't be stupid. Jump on board. All right. So my final question, and this is so hard because we could continue this conversation. This is going to be like a Joe Rogan episode before we know it. So final question, if you were to go back and have a conversation with your 16-year-old self, what kind of things would you talk about? What kind of values would you like to instill? What kind of life lessons?
I'd just say keep going, man. Like I was a very go with the flow person when I was 16. I didn't really care about school. I knew that it wasn't for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but there was a Casey Neistat video that I watched when I was 16, and I'd tell myself the same thing because I wouldn't really change what's happened in the past, but it was him saying like, this is how I went from like a no one to who I am now by just saying yes to opportunity and figuring it out along the way. I would just say to myself like, look, you got a cool future ahead of you. Know your worth, know your value, but also like, just chase whatever you want, because you really can just do that. And I'd reassure myself of that. Yeah.
Wow.
Deep. Deeper than the Mariana Trench.
Deeper. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's been a long one, but it's been packed full of value. So, you know all the things. Go and subscribe if you haven't already.
Do it.
Do it. What else do I have to say at the end of an episode? Thank you for listening. This has been Before the Money. Peace and love. My name is Jack William. We've been chatting with Josh Pullford.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
And that is another one in the bag. Thank you so much for hanging around all the way to the end of the episode. Our sponsors also want to thank you too. ANARCHY Label, the producers of this show, have teed up a exclusive discount code for you. You'll find it in the show notes below for all you wonderful people who've chosen to stay all the way to the end. If you enjoyed being a part of the conversation today, don't keep this to yourself. Share this episode to your channel of choice, send it to a friend who you know is going to get value, and most importantly, for all you diehard fans that want to see this show blow up and impact more lives, hit the donate link in the show notes below. I hope today's episode sparked a little idea inside your head. Maybe you go off and change your life or do something crazy like that. I don't know. But I want to thank you guys for hanging around. This has been a wicked episode. My name is Jack William. You'll find all my links below. And I will see you guys bouncing with energy with another hot topic next Tuesday. Peace and love.